We had 3-tire lift. I said that was 4-tire lift. That time of year is here again. Today, the weather changed enough. It's dry enough and cold enough that our old friend has returned. I'm not talking about the fireplace, but watch. Static electricity. Everything I touch gets shocked. Okay, not as strong there. But there's a solution to this, actually. There's someone that I think a number of you have met in the past, and we're gonna go pick him up right now. It's, I've got to drive clear to the other side of town, but I think you'll get a kick out of this. All right, we have arrived at his place. There he is, Old Swampy. Haha. It's the swamp cooler slash humidifier. Need to move this shopping cart out of the way. By the way, there's some people that think anytime you see a shopping cart, it's stolen. Well, let me just say, there's some people that work for fabrication plants that build these things. And then sometimes they are legitimately sold. So not every shopping cart you see is stolen. Just saying. Yeah, let me move some stuff out of the way here, but Old Swampy is going to be back in action. Luckily made of plastic, weighs basically nothing until you put water inside. Then the weight becomes a little more of an issue, but yeah, this is exactly what we need. All that being said, we are making some definite progress here in the storage unit. This is the big unit. Basically everything in here was wheelchairs that run. As it turns out though, there's, well, this one was running when I put it in here, but one of the motors is screwed up, and I'm sure the batteries are toast by now. This one, I know it's dark and you can't see anything. That's an Invacare of some sort that was set up with a head array. This one was not running when I got it. It was mostly parts. That is the Quantum 6000Z that I built for use when I'm flying on aeroplanes. One of the motors is removed from that. I actually did a video, gosh, it's been over a year and a half ago, I think. I'll link it up in the thingy, or the iCard up above. But that was the one where I tried to swap the high-speed motors onto it, and then I discovered that I didn't have the hubs, so I couldn't do it. That thing has been sitting right there ever since that video. So I'll have to check the date on that and see when that was exactly, but it's been a little while. I'm tilting my head back so my hat doesn't cast a shadow on my face. But anyways, yeah, we're making some serious progress here. I think a few more trips with a friend or two, and we should be out of this thing. I've got it for another 13 days. I'm gonna try and get out of here by the 5th at the earliest. My RC car! I forgot about that. Ooh. That thing will have to make a comeback. Yeah, and then, man, there's so much stuff from previous videos. This one VCR, this, yep, this hot pink boombox that we modified to run off of a cell phone battery. That thing's awesome. And wheelchair lift. That was from a friend's bus. They're just converting to a motorhome. But yeah, there's all kinds of projects and stuff in here, and I'm just so excited that I can finally start working on some of this again. But anyways, it's like 43 degrees out here. I know, well, that's cold by Portland standards, but anyways, I need to finish loading up and get the heck out of here. All right, this is gonna be a temporary solution, at least until we can get the carpet ripped out of the house here. I'm kind of waiting on the contractor to come back and do that. I'm really hoping it's soon, because I would like to start using my F3, but unfortunately I can't do that until until the carpet's removed. So until such time as that happens, it's sitting over here in the corner. Which reminds me, I actually need to unplug it. Plugged it in. Ooh, speaking of static electricity, yeesh. Yeah, I plugged it in earlier today, actually this morning. It's good not to leave them plugged in for more than 24 hours, but anyways, yeah, let's see if, let's see what kind of state we left this thing in. I'm pretty sure I cleaned it out and emptied, so there shouldn't be mold in here, at least hopefully. Oh yeah, looks like we're nice and clean. Ah, smells like a fresh frozen storage unit. Cool. Trying to decide, yeah, I should probably rinse that out a little bit, or at least wipe it out with the bleach rags that I have. And then I'll double check our fitting down here for my rapid fill modification. Make sure it's not leaking, but yeah. Something about the cold weather, cold dry weather, and that fireplace running all the time that kind of breeds static electricity. And I don't want to fry any more hard drives or solid state drives. I've had issues with that in the past, and I don't need to lose any more data. The way these work, you've got a water tank down here and then a big fan, and that fan turns a belt which drives a pump, and that pumps the water up through these little channels here, and the water basically spills onto this balsa wood mat thing, and then it sucks air through, which essentially humidifies the air, or as this thing's intended purpose would actually be to cool the air. So let's see here. And we'll do a quick check to see if there's water coming through. Yeah, there we go. We got water dripping. Awesome. Haha, it's alive. Sweet. Yes, I do drink water. Something else that's nice about being in a house is when I want to leave, I can just go get in the van. It's like right there, 10 feet away. Don't have to worry about elevators, garages, remotes, like you just get in the van and leave. It's not like a whole big production, and especially if you have to wait for the elevator forever. No, I'm not bitter. I just, nice to be back to normal. I keep saying normal. I was just realizing that these lights in this fixture are incandescent bulbs, and they're 75 watts each. So we're gonna place them with some LEDs. I got some of these old school looking clear glass LED bulb things, so we're gonna go ahead and swap these heifers out, just because it's an unnecessary use of energy and generation of heat. They are supposedly dimmable, so we shall see. Oy. Shoulders do not appreciate this. Okay, let's bust these open and see what we get. There, see? This style of thing. Got the dimmer set too low, I think. Those are okay. I was hoping they were a little bit more of a yellow color, just to kind of go with the old school styling, but whatever. They're 4.5 watts each, so that'll definitely save some energy. Now, I'm no environmentalist, but there's a few things that, let's move away from this computer, its fans are spooling up. Anytime you stop editing for a couple seconds, the software starts rendering things. Anyways, there's a few things we don't have an excuse for not fixing. Like, for example, say streetlights. A lot of those are anywhere between 5 and 900 watts each. They can be replaced with an LED equivalent that puts out a better quality of light and a light that illuminates a lot better. And they're at the very most, maybe 75 watts for those retrofits. Now, if you think of how many streetlights there are on any given road, in any city, in any state, that is a massive amount of energy and power. Now, around here in Oregon, we have hydropower. So, sorry, my voice is all weird. So electricity here is stupid cheap. It's like maybe 5 to 7 cents a kilowatt hour. Sometimes as low as like 3.5 or 4, depending on certain situations. But still, like citywide and statewide, we really don't have an excuse not to fix that. I mean, that's just, it's generating heat. And I mean, down in California, there's actually more than one viewer down there that messaged me that's had their power go out because of power lines and extra power use and wind. And I mean, there's just little things like that. Obviously, it takes a lot of labor and man hours to swap out all those. But, you know, as a society, I mean, I'm no hippie, but there's certain things that just don't make sense to ignore. And this is one of them. And this light fixture, it just seems wrong to me to be burning Echo. What's 75 times 5? I know I should know this, but shut up.
75 times 5 is 375.
375 watts in this thing. And it could be Echo. What's 4.5 times 5?
4.5 times 5 is 22.5.
22.5 watts. So, I just wanted to break in and say that. Just get some LED bulbs. They're really good now. The DC to DC converters are reliable, they're not dangerous, they don't make heat, and the quality of light is so much better. Okay, back to the video. They had the retro style ones that were a lot more like amber colored and the old school bulb shapes, but it was $22 for a 3-pack of those, and I didn't really want to pay that. These were I think $9 for a 3-pack, or $7 or something. Oh, it's a lot of work. Okay, one more. Then we'll have one left over. Okay. And there is the finished product. If nothing else, it's a decent quality of light. Yeah, I can work with that. And it's not flickering. That was the one thing, is sometimes the cheap LEDs will flicker, but I can tell instantly if that's the case. Looks like you can dim them down pretty far too. Ah, sweet. I'll take it. Okay, somewhat randomly here, we have this old C300, and I think it has batteries in it, but I connected the charger and nothing happens. So we're going to try Lazarus, the battery booster here, and see if we can get anything to happen. I have a feeling it probably won't, just because of how long this chair has been sitting, but it's worth a try. So we plug this in, and then we plug the charger into this guy, hit the start button, and then the charger should click on in theory. And it immediately turns back off. But as you can see, there is some life with the joystick. Yeah, the charger doesn't like that. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if there's even batteries connected to this thing, but definitely not happy. This thing was set up with a ventilator, and it's got a whole bunch of extra power converters and other stuff down here. Do not touch these switches. Yeah, I think our batteries are probably toast in this thing, assuming it even has batteries in it. Let's see here, 24 volts input, output is 13.8 volts. Oh, so that's a 24 to 12 volt converter. That's actually kind of a handy thing. Oh, that clock. Then we've got power module inputs and outputs here with 2 different switches. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on with this thing, but I'm gonna keep screwing around with it and see what we can figure out. It's got the super old electronics on it. This is before ARNet. I don't know if it has a seat elevator in it or not, but we'll try and power it up. Okay, I've been sitting here clicking it on and off a whole bunch of times, and now as you can see, the charger is actually trying to kick on by itself. So I think there might actually be batteries in this thing. Sounds like the controller powered up. I heard it click. Charger's still running. You can tell it's not real happy with that light flickering, but we'll keep trying here and see what happens. Whoa, the seat elevator works. Look at that, it's moving. Okay, let me make sure. Oh, the fan kicked on. Okay, let me make sure we don't have any pinched wires. I'm gonna raise the seat elevator just so I can access everything underneath it. Looks like we're good there. So let's keep raising this thing up. All right, so that should give us access to things. Multi-input. So let me remove Lazarus here because the diodes in this thing don't appreciate. Hey, we got power with it unhooked. The diodes in that thing don't appreciate having the charger connected full time. So, all right, cool. Looks like Lazarus might have saved the day. I'm sure the batteries aren't any good, but let's run this heat up and down a little bit more here to put some load on the batteries. It doesn't want to turn off. Oh, interesting. So this switch here changes something or other. Maybe there's an extra ventilator battery inside there, like a third battery or something. Because now when I plug it in, nothing happens. But if I flip the switch, then the charger kicks on. Interesting. All right, I'm just going to leave this for a little while. It seems to be doing something without this connected. So I'm just going to leave it sitting here, let the charger do its thing, and then come back a little bit, see what we get. Ah, okay, I was incorrect. These cables here are actually for the chair's control system, and if I'd read this is a PG Drives multi-input box. What this does is allows you to have either an attendant joystick or a regular joystick. So as you can see, our joystick is plugged into 2, and this is plugged into the controller. So with this set to 1, this joystick is not connected to anything, so that makes sense as to why it wasn't charging. Now, as for this guy here, I'm assuming this is going to be our 12 volt. This is our 12 volt output for the ventilator, but we're going to let it keep charging for a while. Then I'm going to dig into the wiring. As you can see, there's a bunch of extra stuff in here. Looks like we've got some MK batteries in here. Yeah, can't quite make out the date in there. Anyways, let this charger do its work. I was about ready to finish up the video and I realized I hadn't updated you on this C300 here that we tried to recover the batteries on. And yeah, by the way, there are a lot of wheelchairs in here now. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I keep filming way too much stuff. I don't want to go over like 40-minute videos for now. I know people want longer ones, but that's kind of my limit, at least for now. But anyways, let me get this thing pulled out of here. As you can see, it's moving on its own. I'm gonna take the stuff out of the seat here and I'm gonna hop in it and see if we can drive it around. Okay, I'm sitting in this thing now. There's one problem though. There's no joystick. It's back here. So I'm gonna try and reach back here while I drive this thing. Oh boy, that's weird. Chair seems to be moving though. Yeah, the thing seems to drive around, so we did manage to recover the batteries. I definitely was not expecting that to happen. Man, driving a front wheel drive chair with the joystick back here is really tricky. Look how old these tires are though. Anyways, I'm pretty sure the life of these batteries is not very good, but they did recover. They are holding a charge. It's been probably a week since I filmed that other part of the video. And I mean, I'm actually moving around. So there's that. I guess now I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna be doing with this chair. It turns a little slow. Oh, our batteries are now blinking red. It is kind of cold out here, but I'm gonna plug it back into the charger again. Let me get over here to my chair. There we go. I'm gonna plug the thing back in and charge it up. Sometimes cycling the batteries a few times will make them a little bit better, but I have a feeling they're not gonna be something that will be installed in a chair that I'm going to use. They'll probably just end up being rollers that I can stick in something to move it around, because it's a lot easier to have a chair with sort of crummy batteries than it is to push one around. But yeah, anyways, just wanted to update you on that. I suppose if nothing else, I could just use this chair as a parts source for the steampunk chair. I mean, this thing seems to be reliable though. I don't know what parts I would need, but I don't know. We got one of these things now. I guess I'll stick it back there in the corner and we'll figure out what to do with it. Today we're going to be working on the old Dodge Chrysler minivan. It has the A604 Ultra Drive transmission, also known as the 41TE. And, well, I did a little bit of research. I went through the theory of operation manual, and I discovered a lot of interesting things about it that I did not know. I've got a bit of a leak on it, and it's from a solenoid pack that sits on top of the transmission. It is actually really easy to get to. I don't have to jack the thing up. I don't have to pull any pans. I just have to open the hood. Don't even have to get out of my chair. I just lean over, and it's right there. 3 bolts hold it on. Now I know there's some screens in there that get clogged, so I was planning on taking it apart and cleaning the screens and all this other stuff. And one of the bolts wound up stripping out that holds the thing on. That was done by a previous owner, thank you very much. But as it turns out, this transmission is weird. It doesn't have bands, it doesn't have servos, it doesn't even have a valve body. This thing is 100% electronically controlled by 4 electric solenoids. That's it. All 4 gears, 3 forward gears, 1 overdrive, torque converter lockup, all 100% software. So I was gonna take apart that solenoid pack and clean things, but then I found you can get a whole kit on eBay for 75 bucks. And it comes with the new speed sensors that you should replace occasionally anyways. Well, that's not gonna be here for another few days, but I figured what I'm gonna do in the meanwhile is swap out the transmission fluid, because I was, well, not to prevent leaks, but I mistakenly put some additive in there that helps with torque converter shudder. And after reading through the theory of operation manual, I realized that's a really bad idea on these transmissions. Without getting too technical, we'll just say that the transmission makes assumptions about the viscosity and how grabby the fluid is. And if you put anything in there that modifies it, the computer doesn't know that. And putting additive in to prevent shudder will actually cause it. Also, putting in the wrong fluid will do that. So I've got 2 gallons of the proper stuff, and we're gonna flush that through there right now. I got all the parts from the parts store. So let me get everything set up and we'll get this started. These transmissions do not have lubrication or cooling when they're in park. So, to do this process, we gotta fire the thing up, and then I have to put it in neutral and let it warm up so the fluid circulates around. And then once it gets warm enough and all the fluid's mixed, then we can get our funnel, start dumping in fluid. We'll pull the return line off the transmission cooler and dump that into a drain pan. But yeah, while I'm getting all that set up, we'll fire this thing up and let it warm up. And it's cold out here. Okay, so drop the thing in neutral. Okay, I think we're good. And I've got some actual proper wheel chocks that I put on the back as well, so we're not just relying on those 2x6s. Can't talk today. All right, open the hood. let's grab the rest of our supplies. Yeah, we'll use the brake clean later on when I change out that solenoid pack, because I'll need to clean off the area around that thing before I pull the bolts out of it. No gasket. All right. It's a little bit windy out here, so hopefully you can hear me, but our supply line from the transmission here, this is what goes into the cooler. This bottom one comes back out, so we're going to disconnect that from the transmission. We'll put the drain pan down there and have the hose drop down into it. And I know it's hard to see, but the solenoid pack is actually right here on top of the transmission. I'll probably take the battery tray out just to make it easier to get to, but yeah, it's right there. No big deal. We're not using the Mopar stuff because it wasn't available, but this will be good for flushing purposes at least. We're going to run, well, we're just going to go until both of these are empty. That'll get everything flushed out, and then I'll stop at some point and make sure we have the proper level in there. Okay, that should be enough warming up for now. Put it back in park, and let's get that hose disconnected. There's a lot of wheelchairs in here. Still need to organize all this stuff. Come here. There we go. Luckily I installed these clamps so they're really hard to get to. Yeah, about that. Oh, that line is loose. It just rotates. Oh. I'll have to make sure I tighten that down when we're done. Holy cow. You do not want these lines coming off with the high pressure hydraulic oil in here, because we got the exhaust right here, and that's how you start a fire. Set down this camera. Give me a two-handed maneuver. Oh look, my hand is blocking the shot. Oop, drop the screwdriver. Oh yeah, perfect. Look at that. This is actually when I need the remote start on this van, because it'd be a lot easier to fire the thing up at this point and control it here without getting in and out of it a bunch of times. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a rodeo, because I'm going to have to go back and forth between pouring this and inside to turn the van on and off. So this might get interesting. We'll turn my chair up all the way so I can move quickly. All right, should probably grab some rags or something. Oh, looks like there's one over there. Come hither. Ah, damn it. Well, I just made a ginormous mess. Accidentally pulled the pressure line off, and we just hosed everything in ATF. Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. Let's put that back on. I guess we're making a trip to the car wash after this. Oh man. That's exactly what I was trying to avoid. Okay, let's take the return line off this time. Sheesh. All right, take two. Well, we got a gallon through there. Turns out our cooler lines are actually routed incorrectly, so I'm gonna have to change those. You want the return to be on the bottom. We ended up with a little bit of a mess. I mean, it's not too bad, but luckily I have something exactly for this occasion. Okay, we reconnected our lines now in the proper orientation. You always want your return line to be coming out of the bottom of this cooler. That way you're not fighting gravity with the pump in this thing, and any silt or debris or whatever falls out the bottom. So I've put a little bit more of that other gallon in here, and what we're going to do now is reattach the hoses and then work on getting it topped up to the proper level. And then I'll have to disconnect the battery because I have to retrain the transmission's fuzzy logic. Yes, that's right, I said fuzzy logic. We'll have to retrain the transmission when we're done with this to correct the problem that that additive was causing in here. So I'm gonna get these reconnected now. Hey, how's it going?
Good, I've been neighbor right here, so somebody moved here, it's good.
Yeah, they said it's been vacant for quite a while.
All summer, yeah.
All right, we're gonna finish up the process here by disconnecting the battery and resetting the TCM, or transmission control module. So to do that, I usually like to leave the ignition key turned on, just because it quickly drains everything out of all the capacitors and electronics and whatnot. So we're gonna go ahead and pull all this off of here, and then let it sit for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or a half hour, something like that. Now, this is a marine battery, so I've got the extra terminals hooked up on here for everything. So we'll try and pull these off all at once if we can. All right, there we go. So we'll set those down there. We're gonna leave this thing for 20 minutes, half hour, and then we'll come back. Fire it up. It turns out I need just probably another pint or two of transmission fluid, but it's on the dipstick at the add mark, so I think we should be all right. But once we're done with this, actually, you know what I should do? I should probably take the other van down to the parts store right now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take the other van down to the parts store right now and get the probably another couple, 3 quarts of the ATF Plus 4. That way, by the time I get back, this thing will be cleared out and ready to go, because I don't want to do the transmission retraining until the fluid is like completely full, and you don't want to drive it until you do the training for very far. So yeah, I think I'm gonna hop in the other van. We'll go down to the parts store, grab some of that. The training process is sort of interesting, and it involves wide open throttle through a couple of shifts. So yeah, fun stuff. Well, it's become dark outside now, but got the fluid topped off, and we're gonna go ahead and try to fire it up. The only problem with this van is after you disconnect the battery, the engine computer doesn't quite know what to do with itself, because the injectors and the cam and everything that are in here are not exactly stock. So it always tries to die right away, as illustrated. So you gotta keep it running for about 3 minutes. Just hold it right about 1,000 RPM or so. And once it runs for maybe 90 seconds or so, it'll start idling again. All right, there we go, it's idling. And apparently we've reset everything. Look at the stereo. It's going into its RGB awesome mode, changing colors every few seconds. So that's always fun. Okay, so this is a fairly obnoxious process. You have to go through, to complete a drive cycle, to relearn the transmission, the first thing you have to do is just do moderate acceleration. You have to hold the throttle between 10 and 50% and don't move the throttle and let it shift all the way from first, second, third, and then into overdrive. And then you have to come to a complete stop and do that a minimum of 15 to 20 times before moving on to the next steps. So rush hour is over now. There's a section of road nearby here that I think I can use for this that shouldn't have too much traffic, and I should be able to get away with coming to a complete stop a few times. I think on that stretch of road I can probably only do it maybe 6 or 7 times in each direction. So after we do that, then after that we have to relearn the kickdown procedure, and then you have to do 5 to 8 wide open throttle kickdowns from 25 miles an hour or less. So on this van, that'll actually light up the front tires. So that might be interesting, but you got to do that 5 to 8 times. And then after that, there's 45 mile an hour kickdowns. That I might not do right away. I can probably get away with leaving that part out, because that involves like going 45 or 50 miles an hour and then holding the throttle wide open for 5 seconds or something like that, which is going to result in going faster than the speed limits around here. So I might have to save that part for later, but at least we can get the basic shifting taken care of, I think, now. So let's go do that. I am noticing right off the bat here, though, that there's no more shudder coming from the torque converter or the transmission. So it's very important when you're doing this not to adjust the throttle while it's shifting. So this freeway on-ramp here, I'm not sure. That's not 10% throttle. We're just gonna go easy on this first one. There's third gear. There's overdrive. So I'm gonna manually shift out of overdrive, get up to speed here. And then this road I'm gonna go to is probably about 5 miles away. So we're gonna head over there and then get the base shifting taken care of. Now I haven't yet replaced the valve body or cleaned the screens, so there is a very high probability that this may not work properly. I at least wanted to get the fluid flushed out before we did everything else. Although the torque converter seems to be staying locked up, so that's good. I was having that issue before. We'll keep going here and see what happens. We might have to abort this if the torque converter starts unlocking itself again. Those parts are still probably 3 or 4 days out before they get here. But I wanted to be able to drive this thing in the meanwhile at least, and not have the incorrect fluid in it. But the shuddering is now completely gone, so that's good. Okay, the torque converter just unlocked itself. I'm sitting here at a red light. I'm gonna restart it real quick. And then this is the beginning of this stretch of road. I'm gonna try doing this once, and if the torque converter unlocks, we'll just have to abort. Okay, I'm gonna let these cars go a little bit, and 10% throttle, and hold it steady. Dang it, there's a red light up here. Well, I think we can get into overdrive at least. Okay, there's overdrive with the torque converter locked. I'm gonna count to 15 seconds, and if it unlocks, yep, torque converter unlocked. Dang it. Well, I guess before we do this, I'm gonna have to get the get that solenoid pack replaced. We've still got some problems going on, but at least the shutter's gone now, so I can drive the van. I can drive the van at least, and not have to worry about that fluid causing issues and confusing the transmission, because the shudder is caused by the computer not expecting the friction properties of the fluid being what it thinks it's going to be. So it starts modulating the line pressure, and that makes the whole thing vibrate. So if nothing else, at least that's gone, and I can drive this thing for a couple days until we get that solenoid pack. Now, obviously, with the torque converter unlocked, it's going to be generating a lot more heat. So I've got to be careful with that as well. And I'll be checking the color of the fluid and all the debris and everything. But We just put like $60 worth of transmission fluid in this, so it'd be nice not to have to drain it again. Anyways, that's all for now. I'm gonna drive around a little bit and then head back. All right, we just made it back. I'm gonna inspect things real quick and see where that smell is coming from. I think it must just be residual. These hoses are definitely not leaking. All right, cool. I just thought, let's see what the fluid looks like after that. Oh yeah, we're still good. Doesn't smell funky. Well, step one's complete of the process. At least I can drive the van now. The shutter from the torque converter is now gone, so that's good. We still have that leak to deal with because one of the bolts on the solenoid pack got stripped out, but those parts will be here in a few days. And at least I can drive the thing around town and not have to worry about overheating the transmission too badly. Now, with the torque converter not staying locked up all the time, you definitely wouldn't want to take any road trips because that amount of heat would destroy things pretty quickly. So, we'll just leave it at that for now, and I'll pick this back up later.